Moving Forward with Arthritis with Sharon Caddy.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of Moving Forward with Arthritis. I'm Sharon Caddy. I'm so glad you're here today. Make sure that you're telling everybody about the podcast on your favorite podcast platforms, on YouTube. You can find everything just by going to the website, movingforwardwitharthritis.com. Well, today I'm really excited about the guest I've got on now. People who know me and know me well know that through my own personal journey, I never stopped exercising. Sometimes at times I shouldn't have, to my own detriment, but I never stopped because I understand the power of staying physically strong, even when there are times that it hurts a bit. My guest today really personifies what that journey can mean. Zac Spinosa is founder and CEO of Forge Fitness. Now, super fit guy. He got to where he is, but it's been a long and tough journey. So Zac, welcome to Moving Forward with Arthritis.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to do this with you and talk about my journey and my own personal struggles and my success and my failures throughout the years of pursuing health and fitness while living with systemic juvenile idiopathic arthritis. Big mumbo jumbo word there, but it definitely, as a disease that you can't really describe to people who don't feel it or and people can't see it. It's tough and it has its moments, especially as a younger guy when I was diagnosed. It's debilitating. It's a little depressing, but that's not what I'm looking to share as a message. I'm trying to share a message of hope and belief and how to persevere and overcome this disease. And hopefully today, through this story and our conversation, we can make that happen.
Yeah. And now take us back to, first of all, what was your life like before being diagnosed? You have always been a very active guy, right?
Yeah, like being active, not necessarily fit in the sense of like what we'd look at like a bodybuilder in a sense, but active was like my main personality. Like I was the fastest kid in school from elementary school on. And like that to me was like everything. Like if I was fast, that means girls would like me. That means my buddies would like me. It means I would make the sports teams. And outside of that, like there's no such things as bills and things like that to worry about. So for me, being fit and good at sports was like all of that mattered to me. So before arthritis, like I was playing basketball. Like I wasn't very good at soccer, but I'm Italian, so I had to try to be. All I did was play sports, and to go into high school feeling as good as I was feeling, performing relatively well, and then finding a love for my favorite sport that I played, which was football, and evidently being relatively good at it to the point where I won like MVP and Athlete of the Year because of that sport. I saw a path in my life going somewhere that unfortunately I wasn't able to pursue because of this disease.
Right. Now, so you were young. I mean, you were in your teens when arthritis kind of reared its ugly head.
Yeah.
Tell me about when you first noticed it, recognized it, and what happened beyond that.
Yeah. So I was like fresh 15 years old. And I think realistically, looking back in hindsight, I'm able to say like I was experiencing arthritis symptoms from like 6 years old, maybe even younger. Like my parents talk about like always would joke about how much of a like brat kid I was, like always crying. Like my grandparents were like, you cried so much at like 2 years old, like 1 and 2 years old. Like you never stop crying. You're always complaining and crying and crying and crying. And like, I have nephews now that are that age and like, they don't cry that much. And I'm like, man, why would I cry? And then thinking back to, I'm like, oh, I remember always complaining about my ankles and my wrists hurting when I played sports at like grade 2, grade 3. And then I wouldn't feel it for a long time. And then I would be like, oh man, my elbows are really hurting. But you just think like, oh, I fell off the playground or I'm overly active. That's probably why I'm sore, right? Like it's easy to chalk it up to that, especially 20 years ago. Oh my God, I'm getting old. When nobody was even talking about arthritis for kids, right? I just remember in school, we'd crack our knuckles and everybody's like, don't do that. You're going to get arthritis. Like that's all I remember arthritis was, right? So yeah, it was for me, the early stages were like little pains and aches from before I even remember them happening, but obviously they were, to when it really, really got bad around 15 years old. That's when we got medical attention for it. We thought I had an allergy because I started getting these crazy hives all over my body to the point where like I had my whole arms were like covered red and like they would bleed from me scratching because they were so hot and itchy. And I would scratch throughout the night and I'd just wake up with bloody sheets. And it was just terrifying, right? It was more scary and irritating than it was painful at that point. But then it slowly started to be less rashes and more swelling. And that swelling turned into aches, and those aches turned into like severe pain. And then it turned into I can't brush my teeth without somebody helping me hold a toothbrush, right? So that all happened before the age of 16. And I was officially diagnosed, I believe, just before my 16th birthday.
Wow. That's huge. I mean, I often, when I've talked to people with juvenile arthritis, I reflect on myself because I thought I was young when I got diagnosed and I was like 40. To me, that felt young. So it's a whole other realm when you're dealing with kids who are getting diagnosed. And I mean, I had trouble accepting my diagnosis when I got it. How did that hit you? How did that affect you emotionally and everything else at the age you were?
Oh man, this question, like I love it because like I feel like my answer changes so much like as I'm growing older, and I feel like you get like softer. Like I was always like just try to be tough through everything and all those types of things, which I think was a benefit to the most part, getting through it. But at the time, I remember just being so scared and just like, what the hell does this mean? Like, am I going to be able to have, like, am I gonna have friends? Can I have kids? Like, I thought like, you don't know what it is. Like, is this cancer? Like, I know it sounds silly, but like, I'm 15 years old. I'm in a doctor's office and it's a very serious conversation. Probably the first serious conversation I've ever had. Getting sat down, told that like my life's going to change forever. I'm probably not going to be able to play sports. And I'll be honest, the diagnosis and the way it was presented to me was not, there was no positive light at the end of the tunnel. It wasn't like things are going to get better for you. It was kind of a debilitating message. And I remember, like, it was more the look on my parents' faces that made me realize how bad this was. Cause I wasn't really listening. I'm like, what? All right, this guy in a lab coat, whatever, is saying something. I'm not paying attention because I'm a kid. But then I saw my mom crying, and then my dad looks like distraught, and I'm like, uh-oh, like this isn't good. So then, I start getting nervous and scared, but then the pain starts getting worse. And that's what really sucked was, getting out of bed and falling because your ankles and your knees hurt so bad you can't even support your own weight. That's terrifying for a kid. And the information that was out there was not a lot. And honestly, up until like 5 years ago, I thought I had rheumatoid arthritis because I didn't know that there was different types, because even the way it was explained to me was just like, oh yeah, you have arthritis. I'm like, okay, that's pretty much it. And then, I look that up and I see these older people's hands that are all crimped up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, is that what's going to happen to me? It was a really hard pill to swallow. And I don't think I fully took it in. And when I did, I isolated myself completely from everything, from society, from people, even my family, who was so supportive and so loving and so like good and there for me. I pushed them away because I was embarrassed of myself, of who I became from this thing that I didn't know anything about.
Yeah. Well, and, kind of exacerbating it all is the fact that you were in your teens, which is a really tumultuous time of life. Even if you got nothing wrong in a physical sense, it's a tough time for anybody going through your teen years. And I mean, also, I must say for parents, because I mean, I raised two daughters and we got through the teen years and I thought I was the survivor. So that's part of raising teenagers. But if you are dealing with like a life-changing diagnosis, uncertainty as to what's going to come up in the future, what am I going to be able to do? And you got your raging hormones that are just a teenager going through what teenagers go through. I can't even imagine how hard that must have been. And so you did retreat into yourself, right?
Oh yeah. Like I had a couple of friends that stuck around after, or not even stuck around. They just became friends of mine throughout this process. And they were, I look at people and human beings in general as like parts of a spaceship, right? Like you're going to have these boosters that help you get to your destination, but they're going to fall off along the way. But a lot of these people who I don't even speak to this day, I credit them a lot with getting me through that tough time, because they were there for conversations and support when I had nobody else. So like, I'm so thankful to have those people. But I even isolated like those good friends away from me that I had friends that abandoned me throughout this really hard time. And that was the most difficult and debilitating part for me mentally, because these were like my brothers in my mind, like people I went away with, cottages, and for my entire childhood, to just disappear because I wasn't one of them anymore because I couldn't move. It was tough. And, they were kids. It is what it is. I'm not upset with anybody now, but back then I wish the worst things upon these people back then because I was so hurt by them, right? But I remember hearing things from people like, oh, maybe this is God testing your strength and things like that. And then that turned me even more angry towards like religion and things like that, because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, if that's even real, how could you attack me like this? Like, what did I ever do to somebody? I'm just a kid. And then you go into this whole spiral of like, the world's against you. Like, why did I deserve this? What did I do? And like, that's where my brain was. I was in this like chamber of sorrow, right?
Yeah.
And eventually you have to get out of that, obviously, but it was tough at the time.
And mentally, as well as, I mean, looking at you now, it's hard to imagine, but physically, I mean, you retreated, you weren't as active, you gained weight, right?
Oh yeah. So I was, I think like on average, I was almost the same weight as I am right now. Like I'm the leanest I've been in a long time, but I'm about 185 pounds right now. And in high school, I was 6 foot, 185 pounds. I gained an inch since then. That's about it. But I was not a physically fit 185 in high school. I was like a kid, still have a little bit of that baby fat on me, but still like active, strong kid. But to go from 185 pounds, 6 foot guy who like, I was getting attention from girls, like life was good and I was fit, to all of a sudden, literally like 4.5 months later, because it was May of grade 10, I started going on prednisone. I don't know if I can even drop that. I started going on a medication, a steroid, right? And because of that, I was on 75 milligrams of that. By the time September hit, I was 275 pounds. And I stopped weighing myself, and I know I got bigger. Like, I know because I stopped weighing myself because I was just devastated, right? So almost 100 pounds in 4 months. I was eating just as much as I ate before. So that was my own fault because I didn't really know anything about nutrition at the time. And then I'm not active at all. So no calories are going out. And then to add on the fact that I have this medication that's just adding so much water weight and its water retention, it was devastating. I still have stretch marks because I have some loose skin. And like I have a 6-pack right now, and like I'm not saying that in a gloating way, but I still have some skin that's loose because of it, right? And like no matter how hard I work, those scars of this disease will always be there. And it doesn't bother me now, but I remember when I first got with my partner right now, she's incredible. I was like kind of like almost ashamed, and I'm like, she's like, you're the best shape I've ever been with. Like, I've never seen a guy in shape like you. And still, it was like shameful for me, right? Which that was like 5 or 6 years ago. So it's crazy to think how much of an effect something that happened to me when I was a kid still stays with me. And not that I don't still experience arthritis, but the hardest part of it so far is gone, thankfully, knocking on wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a hard time. Now you found your way, you found your friends, and you found some of them through video games, right?
Yeah. So like video games have been a big part of my life. And I train a lot of older clients and help people with like getting through their health. And you spend an hour with people like 3-4 times a week, you start talking about everything. We talk about video games, and it's funny because the look on the faces of some of these older folks that I train, they're like, what a waste of time, this, and this. And for me, it's hard to hear that because I'm like, that stuff like saved my life in a sense, right? Like it gave me some sort of purpose and distraction. And I think there's a healthy obsession, there's a unhealthy obsession in life, and addictions, of course, right? And obviously, if you spend your entire life behind a screen, it's probably not a good thing. But if you have things that you aren't ready to deal with and to face, like I wasn't, or capable of facing, you sometimes need to get distracted. And if that distraction is something that's going to make you feel positive, as long as it's not having a negative effect on top of it, it's like not just a short-term positivity that causes long-term negatives like drugs or something and drinking. I don't think it's a bad thing. So for me, these video games, I found a community of people that didn't care what I looked like, didn't care that I wasn't active, didn't care that I wasn't the person I used to be. And they just liked talking to me. We talked on the phone, we talked through a chat app. And through that, I made these amazing friends. And I was called the Porkinator. My brother has like a sandwich on his menu called the Porkinator, and it's funny. I don't know why. So everyone called me Porky, and all these like funny enough because I was a chubby kid too. But these older people were like Mama and Papa Pork, and they knew about my situation. I would talk to them, and they became like my internet friends, internet parents in a sense, and they were there for me throughout this whole thing. And when I was breaking down, I didn't want to cry to my parents anymore. I didn't want to cry to my brother anymore. Like it was embarrassing enough to have them carry me to the bathroom to pee, or like pull me off the ground after I peed my pants because I fell on my way to the bathroom. So I was able to talk to these people about stuff. And because of that, I had some sort of support group, and it was healthy, luckily for me. From that, I made really close friends with these two dudes, Tyler and Alex from California. And my dad decided that it would be a good idea for me to fly down there and visit them. And I did. And I spent a week there. And on that week, my dad had made a deal with these guys saying like, listen, you got to tell Zac that you won't play games with him anymore if he doesn't start exercising.
Wow.
Right? So I didn't know about this backdoor deal. The other deal was I had to shave my terrible mustache that I had at the time because I had this peach fuzz mustache.
For you.
So yeah, it was a great thing. I went there. It was like I shaved my terrible mustache. And they said after the trip, like, man, we want to play games with you, but you've been telling us how you want to exercise and you won't do it. So as your friends, we're going to hold you to it. They were like 5-6 years older than me, right? They're like, when you get home, you got to start training. And if you train, we'll play with you. I said, all right, sounds good. And I got home, started exercising. And because I left like Canada, cold weather here, it was like New Year's, and went to Sacramento where it was nice and warm, even in like January, my body felt like I got a recharge. Mentally, I was recharged. And I was almost like I took myself out of this negative zone that I've been spiraling in for years, almost 2 years. Excuse me, sorry. And leaving that terrible zone that I was in and seeing a new perspective, I was like, oh, I'm not stuck. I can do things. Maybe there's hope. And with that glimmer of hope, I was able to start doing something. And because I had this ultimatum from my friends who I trusted, not even trusted, I would listen to more likely than my parents, obviously, because they're not my parents, right? I was able to start doing something that was good for me. And then I found a healthy obsession with exercise because after that first day of working out, I felt like I was in control just a little bit again. Like I have control of this pain. Like I'm sore, but I chose to be sore today. I wasn't forced to be because I was just woke up this way, right? And that was empowering for me. And I remember being like, oh, like, excuse my language, oh shit, like it's time for me to step it up, you know? Like, let's do this. Yeah, for
sure. So that was a turning point. That was literally the crossroads in your journey. So when you came back and you were revitalized, both by the change in the weather and the people who are inspiring you and everything else. And this is though where some people can get that and not be sure how to take the step that's going to take you past the crossroads. So, I mean, when you're dealing with arthritis, there are like, how did you even know how to start exercising safely and start this journey to the other side?
So I might get some flack on how I'm going to say this because I don't really know how to say it properly, but like, I didn't care if it was safe or not because I've been in pain. I'm stuck. Everything sucks. Like my life sucks. I hate how I feel. Nothing can get worse. So it's like, if I keep worrying about is this going to hurt me? Yeah, it's going to hurt me. Is this going to feel good? No, it's not. But will it help me? Yes. Is what I'm doing right now helping? No. Okay, well, let me just start. Right. So I walked for like 20 minutes and then it was 30 minutes. Then it was an hour. And then I started doing body weight squats. And it hurt like hell. I'm like, this is going to help. But it did. And then I added weight. And then I added more weight. And then I started doing more complex exercises. And it was just slowly trying stuff out, getting hurt, making mistakes. If I had money and I had more knowledge, I probably would have put more time into researching rather than just watching bodybuilding videos on YouTube and things like that. And I would have hired a coach, hired some sort of trainer. I'm not even trying to discredit anybody, but I'm not even saying physiotherapists or anybody that is like high specialty in arthritis. Like that's what I am. I'm a specialty arthritis trainer. You don't need me. You need anybody who's going to help you be accountable for one, to do something, to move, somebody who knows how movement works. And as long as they have some basic understanding of the fact that you are in pain and that you're going to have to change some variables, that is important. So you can skip the steps that I took, which were painful. But I just tried and I started. And I think that's the biggest mistake most people make is they're waiting for these stars to align that never are going to align. You want to be not in a flare up to start up. You want to be feeling 100%. You don't want to be in pain while doing it. You're afraid that you're going to get hurt or you're going to get injured or you're going to be sore. All those things are likely to happen. Unfortunately, that's just part of the journey. But the beautiful thing about resistance training is how much resilience it creates. So if, let's say you've never worked out a day in your life and you fall down the stairs, it's going to take you 8 weeks to recover. But if you worked out for 1 year and you fall down the stairs, it's going to take 4 weeks to recover. Both suck, but one's a lot better than the other, right? So if your back's always hurt and you go to exercise and you hurt your back while exercising, you probably will notice that your back's going to hurt less and take less time to recover than it did the first time you hurt it. And you'll be like, okay, well, I hurt myself exercising. Yes, because you have an injury. Unfortunately, you can't stop those injuries from happening. So you can mitigate the risk, but to mitigate the risk the most is by becoming strong. And you have to push yourself to get strong and you have to get uncomfortable to be strong. Yeah. And that's why we don't have a healthy society, because it's hard. Being healthy is not
hard.
Easy. It's hard, but it's so empowering. And when you go places and you see, if you want a vacation, you see that 170, 80-year-old walking on the beach and they don't have a belly and they don't have, like they're not limping. You're like, wow, go ask them what they did. They might not have resistance trained. They might have not have done yoga or Pilates, but I bet you they were a farmer or something. They did something active, right? And you can skip like the discomfort of wearing rubber boots and bending over and pulling corn and just go do some rows and some squats and deadlifts at the gym 2 to 3 days a week for 45 minutes to an hour, and you can be healthy the rest of your life. Like it's so simple, but it's not easy to do, right? That's the thing. It's simple, but it's not easy.
It's not easy, but it's like I've always been active. I was working up for years before I got to, my diagnosis, my first surgery, but even when it was hard, and I can hear you when you're saying how hard it is, and it is hard, but even when the exercise was hard, I kept doing it because I felt in my own mind that, if my muscles are strong and the joint is somewhat stable, the recovery will be better. I'll be back to walking faster. And it's held true. So but it's not, like you say, it's not always fun.
No, definitely not. I actually, right now, I'm in a space where I genuinely despise lifting weights. Like first time in 14 years where I really dislike doing it. And I was talking to my girlfriend about it last night. I was like, I don't like lifting weights right now because I'm pursuing martial arts very heavily right now. And I'm so tired. Like I'm so exhausted. My body's so sore from it. My arthritis does not help. Doing martial arts is not a bright idea, but I want to do it. And my goals and my aspirations mean more to me than my health sometimes. And like that's a sacrifice I'm willing to take, right? But it's only for myself. I wouldn't recommend that for clients.
Which martial arts are you doing?
Muay Thai right now.
Wow. Good for you.
So I have fought. I was supposed to fight a couple of weeks ago. My opponent bailed out, but I've fought twice in the past like 8 weeks. It's been a lot of fun. I've been wanting to fight for a long time, but with my health and the other part of my health journey that we haven't got to yet, put a big wrench in my plans. So about almost 7-8 months ago, I was asked to come help prepare some people for some fights because I used to train for quite a bit. And I was like, okay, I'll come back into it. But I was pretty heavy because I was pursuing powerlifting and I was like 250 pounds and my body was not used to moving like martial artists do. But I still had the skill from before. So after shaking off the rust and losing like 30 pounds in like a month and a half, I was like, all right, I feel good. My coach and friend was like, hey, I booked you a fight. I was like, what? And I've always wanted to, and I think I used my arthritis as an excuse to not do it because I was scared of causing pain. But sometimes, like you were saying with your exercising, it's hard and it hurts. You push through it. When you're saying that, I was thinking to myself, there's a point in life where we have to understand that there's something more important than comfort and avoiding the pain. Because, there's days where you might be mentally broken. You feel devastated, but your body's hurting really, really bad. And you know that if you go to the gym, it's probably not going to help your body. But if you go to the gym, you're not going to want to, do anything bad to yourself. Or you're not going to want to you're not going to end up spiraling into a very, very bad mental space. What's more important? Physical wounds heal a lot faster and physical stress heals a lot faster than mental. So I usually tend to choose what's going to get rid of my mental stress. And for me, martial arts really helps with that. And so does weight training, of course. And that's why I've done it. But because I've done it for so long and I'm able to have this good foundation, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I pursued it, and I've never been mentally more focused and excited and happy, which is great. But I've never been more sore since I was sick because, you're getting beat up all the time, right? So, but that's that.
Oh, wow. And backtrack a bit. You were talking about that other part of your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Take us
part,
there.
Sorry. About my, yes. So,
yeah,
that the elephant in the room. Yeah. Well, what part? Yeah. So, in 2021, so 5 years ago now, crazy how fast time flies. I had been 2.5, 3 years into business. Yeah. 3 years into business. And I expanded my gym. My brother, dad, and I bought a huge property. I was going from about 1,600 square feet to 8,000 square feet. Wasn't going to fill it out, but it was starting, right? It was like, here's my dream place. I'm 23 years old. I'm going to be able to build something incredible throughout my life. I'm so excited. Everything's great. I'm in the best shape of my life. I was 200 pounds, jacked, strong, like weight strong, and doing martial arts. I was thinking about going to fighting at this point. And my coach is like, you're ready. Let's get you a fight in April or whatever. April next year. So, cause it was, September. So I was like, yeah, I'm like, okay, sounds good. We'll do the April tournament. I'll go for provincial championships. This will be amazing. Everything's great in my life. And then I wake up one day in September and I'm like, wow, my wrists are really sore. And by the time I got out of bed, I went to grab my toothbrush. My hand was like stuck. I'm like, oh no. So I call my buddy who's living with me and I'm like, hey, I need you to drive to work. He's like, dude, I don't have a license. I'm like, yeah, I know, but like, you'll be fine. It's like 5 a.m. Nobody's up. Just drive me. So we drive to work and I'm like, I need you to load plates for me because I can't hold the plates. So this goes on for 2 or 3 days. I'm like, what the hell is going on with my hands? Call my doctor. We go in, we go back on medications. First time in 2 years I've been on medication at this point. I was complete remission of everything. Amazing. All of a sudden he's like, how are you feeling? I'm like, I feel great. I'm back to lifting weights. I'm feeling good. I deadlift 550 pounds. I'm like, wow. Just a weird flare up. That's my first real bad flare up ever, like since being like in remission. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. I just started seeing my current girlfriend at this point. So we're watching a movie, we're hanging out, and she's like, you are hot. I'm like, thanks, babe. She's like, no, like you're sweating. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like, you're really, really wet right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I get out of my bed and I look on my sheets and they're soaked. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, oh, it just happens. Arthritis, right? I'm like, just making up because I'm embarrassed. We just started seeing each other. And she's telling me how her dad always like gets like really man coldish when he gets sick. So I'm like, I'm fine. I'm good. Then crazy enough, I didn't even remember this. She just told me this the other day. But the next day she came over to check on me and I was in the shower on the ground, like just out. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, you need to help me up. So she helped me up and I went to my couch. And then a few hours later, I weighed myself and I was like 13 or 14 pounds lighter than I was the day before. And she's like, you need to go to the hospital. She's like, I'm coming to get you. We'll go to the hospital. Takes me to the hospital. They instantly admit me. They give me fluids. And then I wake up, my brother's in the in the hospital room with me. I'm like, what's up, dude? What are you doing here? He's like, what the hell happened? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, you drink something? I'm like, no. So you take anything? I'm like, dude, I don't do drugs. He's like, yeah, true. And he's like, what happened? I'm like, dude, I have no clue. He's like, you're kind of yellow. I'm like, oh, no, it happens. I sometimes get a little jaundice like from my medication stuff. Like, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It happens. The eyes get a little yellow. I'm like, I'm not sure. Literally get up. I'm like, let's go for a walk outside. I just want some air. Collapse outside. He carries me back to the hospital. They put me into a room. I wake up. I'm in a diaper. I'm like, what the hell? How am I in a diaper? It's been like almost a day. Days start going by. I'm going to the bathroom nonstop because I'm on some medication for like thinning something. And then like it's like a diuretic. So I'm just constantly going to the bathroom. Feeling gross, weight's going down. They don't know what's happening. I start getting nosebleeds. Never have nosebleeds. bleeding everywhere. No one's telling me anything. Like, what drugs did you take? I'm like, nothing. They're like, your liver and your kidneys are not functioning great. Were you taking drugs? We can ask your family to leave so you can like tell us. I'm like, I've not taken. I've taken my medication for my arthritis, and that's it. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. Like, I'm healthy. Like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. And then out of nowhere, they're like, we need to do a liver biopsy on you. I'm like, okay. And they went through my neck because I was bleeding. I was bleeding too much. So they go through my neck through my jugular into my liver, do a biopsy, and they forget to stitch my neck up. So I go back to the other hospital and I'm just bleeding out of my neck. I'm bleeding out of my nose, and they keep giving me like more blood. They keep giving me bags of blood. Now I'm in the ICU in my hometown, and my doctor, like Syed Sheikh, I'm giving him a shout out. He's an incredible human being. He like fought with the hospital to get me sent to Toronto because he's like, you guys are not capable to take care of him here. And he's like, I'm not saying this disrespectfully. Like, he needs more help because you don't know what's going on. He's bleeding out of 2 different places now, and his liver is failing. So he was able to get me into the specialty unit in Toronto. 13 doctors working on me. Still no clue what's happening. Still, I get there, they stitch my neck up instantly, thankfully. They're trying to plug my nose and put like stuff in it. It's still bleeding like crazy. Don't know what's going on. More blood bags. And now I weigh myself, and like I said, I was 205, and now I'm 170. A week goes by, I'm even worse. Now I'm on just pure fluids. Applesauce and ice was like my main meal. And I literally was, I think it was 132 pounds, and the lowest I was like 127. So now I'm like, I literally look like I'm going to die, right? And at this point, still don't know what's happening. Now my kidneys are failing. They had my brother and my dad checked out to see if they could donate part of their liver to me. And they were prepping them, not prepping actually, like in the sense of like getting ready for the surgery, but they were doing the paperwork and stuff for it. And they had figured out that it actually was, this is 4.5 weeks into being in the hospital. I'm fast forwarding all the nightmares of, all the medication I was put on and the hallucinations and the crazy things that were happening there. But like, these are like, there was so many devastating things that happened to me mentally during this time in the hospital. But this was all because of arthritis. And it was a very rare sub-disease called macrophage activation syndrome. I don't know if you're familiar with it at all.
I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's extremely rare to happen. And it only happens, I believe, to people with juvenile idiopathic arthritis. Mm-hmm. And I have systemic juvenile idiopathic arthritis, which is the smallest category of juvenile idiopathic arthritis. And it's also highly likely, the macrophage activation syndrome, from what the research I've done on it is, it usually only happens to infants and young children. So I'm 23. I'm like, what the hell? And so this happened to me. And when I was in the hospital, the doctor came in and said like, hey, because kind of during COVID times too, right? So
yeah, that's
very few visitors in the hospital. I have to wear a mask. I can barely breathe already through my nose. I'm on oxygen. And they said like, you have a probably 30% chance to make it out of this hospital. So if you have anybody you want to say anything to, it would be a good idea to do it over the next few days. So I said like my goodbyes and my love you to like my dad and my mom, my little sister, my brother. It was so scary and just like tough. But I was on so much morphine at the time that like I don't think I really processed how bad it was. I remember calling FaceTime my girlfriend. And I guess I hadn't talked to her in like 8 days, but I was just like, hey, how was your test yesterday? She's like, oh, it was good. Like she didn't want to like freak me out. So like I eventually, they got me treated for that disease. I was taking like 8 needles, a day, at that point. And then I went home and it was only 4 when I got home, and a bunch of pills and a high dose of prednisone again. So of course the PTSD of prednisone, I was like, oh man, 100 milligrams this time too. So I was like, oh my God. But, because I have a lot more knowledge at the time with fitness and health, I was able to compensate my protein intake and my carbohydrate intake, and I didn't really gain weight in an unhealthy way this time back. I needed to gain weight anyways, but I didn't gain it so rapidly. I wasn't able to walk while I was in the hospital. I was bedbound, right? And I was using a bedpan for bathroom breaks and stuff, and having people clean me up, which was crazy to think that was happening. But when I was able to get on a walker in the hospital, they gave it to me. And I'm a very stubborn individual. And I like to think that I can do everything. So they handed me the walker, and I looked at my mom like, "Am I allowed to swear here?"
Yeah,
Or is it okay? I was
you
like,
can.
"There's no okay." I was like, "There's no fucking way I'm
Yeah.
using a goddamn walker. Are you kidding me?" And she's like, "Zachary, please." Like my mom's like, "Zachary, no, you need to." I'm like, "Mom, if you put that walker near me, I'm gonna throw it at the closest nurse or doctor. I promise you." And I couldn't even pick it up, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what I'm saying. And I'm like, "Take me to the stairs." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Help me get to the stairs." So we walk towards the stairs, and I'm like, "All right, I'm doing 5 sets of this flight. I'm gonna go up and come down slowly." And I was like literally like stutter stepping in my slippers and my robe that I had, and slowly going up these steps. And then the nurse came like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm getting better. I'm gonna get better." And then I was able to slowly every day get out of bed, even though I wasn't supposed to, bring my pole with me and walk around the unit in the ward. And like I remember music was so big for me at that point. And that Silk Sonic, Bruno Mars, and Anderson .Paak album had just come out, and it was so like positive, high energy, good frequency. I'd have it in my headphones, and I'd just walk around the ward and just push myself and just keep moving and keep moving. And I just kept telling myself, "You're going to get through this. Like, you got to have kids. You got to get married. Like, there's things that you got to do. You got to be there for your family." And I was always like, funny enough, even though that was way, 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 way worse than the diagnosis of arthritis, like, it was such a terrible situation. I think because of getting that arthritis, getting through it, becoming the person I became because of it, tenacious, resilient, not afraid of adversity. I kind of like looked at this literal death and was like, "Not fucking me. I promise you. Like, you're not taking me." And like, there's not a chance in hell. I'm like, if I die like this, that's so fucking lame. Like, that's all I was
I
thinking. Like, if
know.
I die, and I'm not trying to say that about people who die in the hospital. Obviously, it's devastating. It's terrible. But like, I was like, there's no chance that I'm going to be the guy that dies in the hospital and I have not achieved anything that I've wanted to achieve in my life. Right. And I think because of that stubbornness and that, like, I was seeking so much more in my life, I was able to like push myself through it. And I remember coming home and like everyone treating me differently, and I was so like in my head again, and I hated that feeling. I felt so scared and so little. People were like, "Are you okay?" That's how, and it pissed me off, right? But I get it, like it's just empathy, right? But I think a sickness that we have now in our society is this victim mindset of being hurt and being down on ourselves. And it's a privilege to be put through such a test, because now nothing is scary. Like, I'm not afraid of anything. Like, when I went to go fight another human being who was trying to take my head off, I'm excited. I'm like, what do you like, dude? I'm like, at the end of the day, worst thing's gonna happen. I'm gonna fall asleep, gonna get a nap, need to take a Tylenol, and I'm good to go. Right? It's just like, we're so blessed to live in the place that we live. We're so blessed to have the lives that we have. I've met kids on this journey since I started speaking out about arthritis and how to overcome this disease and other disabilities and stuff. I met kids that have had what I had 3 times before the age of 9. Like, and they're still here, and like, they're weird, like, because of it. And I'm weird. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm like, it affects you. And these poor kids, like, have never had like social skills because they were in a hospital for 4 years, right? They've only walked for half their life. And it's just, people walk around every day taking for granted how lucky they have to have their health. And they go and drink their livers away. They go and not exercise and eat their hearts out, and, complain about taxes and complain about this. And like, yeah, these things suck, but you're still alive and you only have one life. And like, we got to be positive and chase after things. And that, like, I'm so thankful that I got this disease, because I don't think I would have even come close to doing the things that I wanted to do. I was a lazy, arrogant, still a little arrogant, just
But you make it work for you.
good for nothing, like, kid, you know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
and I don't mean that, like, I was just a kid, but still, like, I had no zest for life. I had no care for anything but myself. And the crazy thing is, people are so selfish in life, yet they achieve nothing for themselves, which is hilarious. So like, why be selfish and then do nothing with it? Like, go after things, chase after things. And if you're going to get dealt a bad hand, just do whatever you can with it. You know what I mean?
But well, it's true, but it's what's amazing after all of the things you've gone through is that you've managed to take what would knock a lot of people right out of like I'm never coming out of that hole you went into, but you came out, you are strong, you are tenacious, you have a love of fitness and you now pay it forward through your business. Tell me about Forge Fitness.
Of course. Yeah. So I opened the gym in 2018, June 4th. And it was like, I had no clue what I was doing. I knew how to get myself in shape. I knew that like people always call me fit and they'd ask me for advice and I'd give them advice and it would work. So I was like, hey, I could do this. I got my certificate, did my insurance and did whatever anybody else did and started charging money for my services. And it worked out really well. And I started getting some good results. And, like at first, all I cared about was I want everyone to have abs. I want everyone to be so jacked. And, I want to train athletes. Like that's the typical trainer thing. And then, I started getting like an older lady come in to see me who has MS and can barely walk up her stairs. She's like, can you come to my house? I'm like, for what? She's like, to train me. I'm like, okay. Like, what can you do? She's like, well, I can't really walk right now. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? Like seriously, that's all I'm thinking. Right. And then I go there. I'm like, well, I couldn't walk at one point. Like, let me see what I can do. And within a few months, she's walking up the stairs again. She jumped on a box that was like 20 inches off the ground, but still like probably a stupid idea of me to even get her to do it, but she wanted to. And she was such a tough girl. And I remember just being like, whoa, that felt really good. Like I liked how that made me feel. So then I'm training these other people that are just overweight and just hate themselves. And I'm not saying that about everyone, but that's a lot of people in their situations. And it's like, I don't want to sweat. I don't really want to push myself. I don't want to do this. I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Like, this is like, I'm getting paid and that's great. And I'm making more money than I did when I was making bread with my dad. But like, I'm not getting anything in here. Right. And then I started working with more people that had like issues, whether it was arthritis or diabetes, any type of things, like real struggles. And I was like, wow, like we can make a really big difference. And then those people really wanted to make a change because they had to. Right. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. And because of that, like the word started spreading around, the gym started growing. I hired my first coach to work with me, who was my best friend, who at the time, like, well, that still is, but he took me through so much. He was with me and he was such a good positive force. I was like, all right, you should work with me. Let me train you. Boom. He's been working with me for 6 years now. He's busier than ever. It's amazing. And then one of my other coaches now who works for me was one of my first clients. He was going through a rough part of his life. And he was like, man, I need to get my health together and my mind straight. I want to start working with you. I love seeing what you've done for yourself. I just want you to help me out. I said, sure. And then a few months later, he's like, hey, do you want to come with me to Muay Thai? I'm like, sure. Go there. I meet our coach, who's this crazy Hungarian guy named Shandor. He's a psychopath, but he's amazing. And funny enough, now both those guys work at the gym. Ryan, the younger guy who got me into martial arts, is now running like so many youth classes for kids that are like a little bit anger issues, little things like that, helping them get out of like bad spots and giving them discipline through martial arts at the gym. So like we have this whole, and then we have Austin as well, who's my youngest guy working for me now. We have 5 employees, but we're all like partners and we all work hard together. And we have this huge community of people that all like love being around. People help out all the time. Like we're on this farm and they bring like forklifts over to help move equipment. This gym is, people open businesses and anyone who tells you they're not doing it for the money, they're lying. Everybody wants to make money. But I'm telling you, I'm a good salesperson. I could just go into sales or sell insurance and make way more money than I have owning a gym. But I would feel so lifeless and soulless. This is the greatest career ever because I get to help people feel better about themselves and actually feel good and then pay that forward to the next person. So, like, the nice thing about being fit is other people want to be like that. And then once they're like that, those people's people want to be like them. And then everyone just kind of amalgamates and becomes this like fit, healthy group of people. And now you're hanging out on a Saturday and instead of drinking and eating crappy food, you're all going for a walk and then jumping into the water and going for a swim. And like, that's what we've created here. And luckily for me, it's created so many opportunities to do podcasts like this, speaking engagements where I meet people like that are in the act of suffering and struggling. And now I personally work with, I think 50 or 60% of my clientele now are people strictly with arthritis, which is awesome. So like they're coming from Toronto, from outside of Toronto, like over an hour and a half to 2 hour drive to come see me weekly, just to exercise, which they can do anywhere. But because they feel connected to me because of this disease, it I don't even know if it's like my capabilities in the sense, but it's the understanding that I have for them that allows them to believe in themselves. Because I think that's the biggest issue with everyone is that we lack this belief that they can change and that they can get through this pain. And if I can instill that belief in them and they don't need me for it anymore, that's my biggest goal. Is like, I want you to feel that you are enough to overcome and achieve a healthy lifestyle with arthritis, because you're going to have those shitty periods, right? Where you're sore and you can't get out of bed, but that's okay, because yeah, you missed a day. You're not going to be like, oh, I can't go again. Because that's what happens, right? You miss a day, you miss 2 days, 3 days. These people are like, no. You get like, there's times where you're healthy for so long and you're like, oh, I don't want to go to the fucking gym. Like, I don't want to go to the gym, right? But then there's the time you get sick and you're sitting on the couch and you're dying to go to the gym. And those are the moments that remind you how lucky you have it. And then you don't take it for granted again, right?
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
what happens.
If you've dealt with any kind of disease, whether it's a form of arthritis or something else that impacts your mobility, you don't appreciate or cherish your mobility as much until you lost it for a while and have to regain it. I've been there. I know lots of people that have been there, and that also, for me anyway, I know I rekindled a love for exercise. Not that I ever totally lost it, but it was a need to get back to it, because that gives me back my mobility. And there's times it's too painful, and you get through that. I adapt. If there's something I can't do, I mean, I'm 6 months into a recovery from a surgery on the one foot, and I can't do everything yet, but it's getting better. They say it's a year recovery curve for that stupid injury, but not injury, but surgery, but whatever. You know what? You keep going because it does get better. And I so appreciate what you do. Now, Forge Fitness, you're located in the Niagara region, right?
Yeah. We're in Fenwick, Ontario. This is this little farm town. And we got this old farmhouse that we like retroactively turned into a barn gym. And it's like this. It's amazing. It's like my safe haven. Like I was just stuck in St. John's, Newfoundland for 4 days. I was supposed to be there for 24 hours, and like beautiful place, but I was dying to come home, and like the flight delays, all this stuff. And I came back, and this morning I walked in, and like just the smell of like the rubber of the floor, because I don't smell it ever because I'm here all the time, and just seeing everybody, just like it's crazy to think that this is my job and that I make money doing it. Like it doesn't even make sense. And even like the guys that work for me, I hate saying that because like we all just work together in a sense. These guys, like half the time, like we don't, like I have to pay these guys, right? They're like, hey, I'll forget, they'll forget, and no one cares. And they're like, okay, we'll pay. Like, everybody gets paid, obviously. But like I'm saying, like that's how like we literally we work together, and then we're hanging out at night, playing video games together. We're going out to eat together. We're doing sports together. It's just like, we've created this crazy, it's amazing. And now with the martial arts side, like my brother and his wife, they bring their little kids over and they train together. And like, we just started this, there's this homeschooling group in the area. There's 135 families, and now they're doing their gym class at our gym. So they come in, we teach them martial arts. So right now we're doing 8 weeks of Muay Thai. Then we're going to do 8 weeks of jiu-jitsu. We're going to do 8 weeks of weightlifting. And, like you can think what you want about homeschooling. I don't know if that's for me, but still, I think it's incredible that these kids are getting to go into the real world, learn a new skill at a place that's not their typical environment. And they're probably going to have such a unique experience on life compared to these other kids. And I think that's a beautiful thing about having this disease as well, is you're getting a unique experience on life. And I know like if people are like, I'll take a non-unique and no pain life. I get that. But there's something incredible about not having control of how you feel. Like nobody really does, but it makes you crave stability a little bit more. And it forces you to give yourself that stability. And like you said, you exercise because you know you should, and you do enjoy it, but there's times you don't. But having that stability and knowing that you have control over a little bit of control over your health by just doing some good things, it kind of spills over into your relationships, into your life. It's very simple to look at like, oh, my partner's unhappy. Have I been putting in the work that I should be putting in? I'm sore. Have I been doing the things I should do to relieve that pain? It really puts a logical perspective on life.
It does.
I know
it does.
I don't know how to explain it, but
and for a young person like yourself, I mean, you'll be on a journey similar in a way to mine, in that when you get to the step when you have a family, I mean, I raised my 2 daughters with a very strong respect for exercise and for being in shape, being fit, being active. And I think that comes from what I've learned, what I've experienced, and I've paid that for. And I know they'll do that, right? When they have their families.
Absolutely. Like that's the next step in my life is marriage and kids, and that's coming probably very soon for me. And it's like it's exciting. My biggest goal in my life was to be a dad. Like that's something I cared about more than anything. I think I've learned over the years that it's also important to be excited to be a husband as well. You can't just be a dad. When I was younger, I didn't really care about that part of the relationship. It was like, I'm being honest. Like when I was a kid, it was like, I just want to be a dad, but I forgot that you have to also be a good husband, because that's also important for your kids to see. Right. And now that I'm older and I'm understanding like how lucky I am to have the life that I have, like my kids are going to for sure be active and be ready, because that preventative medicine of exercise is beyond important. And it's also like, it's a responsibility as a parent to show, I know it's a different topic, but to show as a role model what you should be doing, right? Like you really, it's a disservice to your child if you do not exercise, because they might think that's a normal thing to be doing, which unfortunately it is in our society. But that's also why it's normal in our society to have a 50% obesity rate, which causes cardiac health issues, Alzheimer's, diabetes. All these different diseases are because of obesity, right? And aches and pains. And just because you're alive doesn't mean you're living. And like, because we have all these medications that keep people alive, I see it with family members that are unfortunately coming to the end of their lives. They've lived 20 plus years in a chair or stuck in one place because of choices that weren't made, right? And I think if you're lucky enough to have gotten sick at a young age and gotten hit with that reality of what happens to all people as we age, it's important to take that dose of reality and drink it and actually do what you should do. Take it in, understand that, yes, this sucks, but this was coming for you. You just got a lot earlier, right? And it sucks, but now you're going to have a whole life of persevering and resilience towards it, that it's going to make it a lot easier to fight that battle. I'd rather fight a war at 20 years old than when I'm 70.
That's right. Amazing. So. Well, I so appreciate you joining me today. I've been looking forward to talking to you. We're going to have information in the show notes on whether you're in the podcast or watching on YouTube, so people can find you at Forge Fitness. And I hope to talk to you again sometime down the line, because I really appreciate it. You got a great spirit.
Oh, thank you so much, Sharon. It was great. You asked great questions, and it was just I felt like I fell into like a flow there where I was just spilling my heart out to you and talking about marriage and kids. My girl's going to be way too excited when she watches this. Oh, no.
I bet, right?
Uh-oh. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks again, Zac. That's Zac Spinosa from Forge Fitness. And thanks to all of you who joined today to listen or watch the podcast. And this is the kind of stuff I'm bringing to you. Great stories, great inspiration, and boy, makes you feel pretty wonderful. Tell your friends, your family, follow us on social media, and of course, check the show notes and make sure you subscribe or follow, because then you'll get notified whenever there's a new episode. So get out there, get mobile, get exercising, and keep moving forward with arthritis. Until next time.